Part 3 of our fan questions to Anthony Phillips. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. In this one, we talk about all his favorite guitarists, and he comes up with an interesting thing as we're talking about Peter Green of Fleetwood Mac. He gives us an interesting quote about Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac. Here's Anthony Phillips. Ralph Marone asked, who's your favorite guitarist? Do you have favorite guitarists that stand out? Do you listen to music?
Oh, gosh. I wouldn't know where to start with that. I mean, I think at different times of my life, I've probably liked, there's been a sort of a number one or a number two. I mean, I suppose when I was, early on, it was Hank Marvin, Shadows. Then very quickly it was Keith Richards, Brian Jones. I mean, I love the Beatles, but there's something about the Stones' actual playing. I mean, Harrison did a few solos, but really appreciated the Beatles' overall sound and stuff, but maybe more as players. Then very quickly into the blues boom. And obviously, I was very, very lucky in being able to go and see Eric Clapton, Peter Green, Jeff Beck, when I was very young.
Like Peter Green. I'm amazed by how many people don't know who he is. I'm going, what?
Well, I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it, really, that the person that was the most... it was his group. Fleetwood Mac was his group, and probably the two, although they did incredibly well, they're great players, great field players, the least significant people were the two that took it on. I mean, Mick Fleetwood's a good pop drummer, but I mean, at a time of virtuosity amongst the blues players, he was regarded as very, very ordinary. That's no disrespect to the man, because he did some, very, very effective and catchy pop music later. But you had the era of the sort of virtuoso players, where the material necessarily wasn't a great song, like some of the Beatles songs were, but the playing was absolutely stunning. And then Hendrix, obviously, as well. Then, of course, some of the prog guitarists like Bob Fripp and Steve Howe were immensely... And then, having studied classical music, I started to listen to people like Julian Breen on classical, absolutely stunning. Then later on, it's just sort of picking out odd guitarists. I mean, there's an enormous amount of incredibly technical guitarists. John McLaughlin and all sorts of people like that, and people who just take Steve Vai, take your breath away. I think sometimes, maybe less is more with some of this. I mean, I think, is it Larry Carlton or Larry Coryell? I always forget mixed up. Who does the solo on Third World Man by Steely Dan. I don't know if you know that, but it's one of my favourite solos of all time. It's absolutely stunning. I think it's Larry Carlton, I think. So I became a big Steely Dan fan as well, actually, later on. Thereafter, I mean, there are so many good guitarists now. The world is full of technically brilliant guitarists. I don't have anybody that I would say now I'm hugely... I mean, I was lucky to work with Andy Latimer, great guitarist. Mm-hmm. Camel, great guitarist. Steve's playing is phenomenal. But I can't give anybody new who has sort of, stopped me completely in my tracks as an individual, as different to everybody else. Well, I went to see Big Big Train the other night, and Dave Gregory and the other guitarists are absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, I mean, I regard myself as being more of an acoustic player now, but I mean, because I spend so much time composing, I don't really think of myself as a sort of virtuoso in any way like some of these other guys. I'm a composer player. That's how I see myself.
More of our conversation, fan questions for Anthony Phillips coming up next week. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. This is Rock History Music.